welcome to the Common Constitutionalist Weekly Podcast, and I am the Common Constitutionalist. Today I have but one topic to discuss, the failed non-healthcare healthcare plan, RINOCare, RyanCare, whatever you want to call it, care. It ain't care at all. I don't care. But The Blaze had an article, I think it was yesterday, regarding Chuckie Schumer's choice comments that he had for the Republicans, for Trump, and for basically everybody for not working with the Democrats to fix the wonderful thing we call Obamacare. Yeah, he really went off on the Republicans, and he's blaming them for everything, as he always does. So I discussed that, and I also discussed the fact that Obamacare was built to fail in the beginning, and the government will not allow the free market to intervene. It ain't going to happen. And the fact that Ryan and the boys had a perfect opportunity to fix all this and didn't bother because they don't really want to fix it permanently by repealing it. And all that and lots of fun today on the Common Constitutionalist.
You are listening to the Common Constitutionalist, broadcasting from an undisclosed location, free from the prying eyes of establishment black helicopters.
Okie dokie. So, this comes to us from The Blaze. And as I said in the opening, this is Senate Minority Leader Chuckie Schumer's reaction to the failed RINOCare bill. So The Blaze writes, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, Democrat of New York, blasted Trump's incompetence over the GOP's health care bill's implosion, but said that Democrats were willing to work with him to fix Obamacare. What a guy. As long as the repeal was off the table. Yes, indeedy. Well, that certainly sounds like a fair compromise. Something that me as a conservative constitutionalist can certainly get behind. Don't repeal Obamacare. Let's just fix it. Unfortunately, that's what most of the Republicans want to do, and that's why we had this bill to begin with. That's why Ryan didn't trot out the already successfully passed repeal bill, clean repeal bill from 2016 that passed from I think it was 240 to 180 or 181. They could have repassed that one. It could have gone through the Senate, more than likely, with very little amendment. They may have had to blow up the Senate to do it. So what? And Trump would have signed it, but no. Old Senate majority, or not Senate majority, but Speaker of the House, Paul the Hack Ryan, nope, had to trot out his very own bill that he wrote in the dark of night in a closet somewhere, and that went down to flaming failure, as a lot of people predicted it would. But as long as repeal's off the table, Chuckie Schmuckie Schumer is more than happy to work with the Republicans. That will be the freaking day. Okay? So anyway, they continue. There were two problems, he explained to Wolf the Blitzer on CNN Friday. Quote by Chuckie, I've never seen such incompetence, he added. They put together a bill that doesn't have the support of so many of their own party. Nobody, hardly anyone on the outside opposed it. AARP against it, AMA against it, hospitals against it, nurses against it. Of course, all the union people were against it. The big hospitals were against it because they're getting stipends from the government on everything. Nursing unions, which are notoriously liberal, like the teachers' unions, they were against it. What a shocker. And AARP, the old folks' liberal union, basically, is against it. There's a big shocker, too. Indeed. He continues, and Chuckie continues, that is. And second, you can't, and this is a lesson for them in the future. You cannot govern from the... Yeah, I love this, baby. You could not govern from the hard right. The only people who really benefited were the very, very wealthy. Well, that would make, let's see, Obamacare, the very, very wealthy must be the only ones to benefit from Obamacare because basically, for all intents and purposes, RyanCare RINOCare was ObamaCare. It didn't repeal jack squat, basically. It left all the mandates in there, all the pre-existing conditions in there, all the, if you're a child of 57, you could be on your parents' health care. I know that's not value. I embellish, okay, fine, but it's 26. Whoever heard of that? What a load of crap that is. Which actually prevents college students from buying really, really, really inexpensive health insurance from their schools, which they used to be able to do, and now they can't because they have to be on their parents' health care, really expensive, high deductible health care. But hey, it benefits the very, very wealthy. Sure, I guess so. Obamacare benefits the very, very wealthy, but we're not going to bother to discuss that, of course. And he puts this stuff out there knowing full well that A, the press isn't certainly going to check on it. They're not going to politifact it, okay? And no one else is going to say boo about his silly claims anyway. The blaze continues. Schumer responded to Trump accusing the Democrats of not wanting to work with Republicans on health care in his address from the White House Friday after the bill failed. Well, why in the heck would any Republican in his right mind want to work with the Democrats? Well, I know some of the Republicans want to work with the Democrats, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised that behind closed doors, Ryan and the boys did work with the Democrats on this non-repeal RINOCare bill that looked absolutely nothing like what we were promised during the campaign season, of course. Failed promises of the campaign season. Where have we heard this line of jive before? Jive turkey. And Chuckie continues. Well, it's a tall tale. Another one by President Trump, Schumer said. They never reached out to us. They never talked to us. They never said how we can work together to make it better. The failure of this, of course, is completely among the Republicans, President Trump, and the Congress. They weren't even trying to get the Democrats involved. And like I said, speaking from the, what did he say? The hard right. Yeah, speaking from the hard right. You'd be a fool to work with the Democrats on anything because they're not interested in what's good for the country. They're interested in only what's good for their party. Of course, the Republicans are too, but hey, what the heck? They are interested in socialist health care. They're interested in socialist, communist, everything. Single payer, everything. Regulate everything, whether it moves or not. Regulate it. Make rules about it. Control our lives, everything. That's what they're interested in. You're listening to me, the Common Constitutionalist.
Yeah, baby! Yeah.
So the first thing I would announce if I was the Republican House leader is I would get up to the microphone and say, first off, we're not going to be working with the Democrats because they're just going to obstruct the process anyway, and so why bother to work with a bunch of socialists? And, Schumer had a lot to say in this article, that's for sure. Quote, and now it's about time for the president to lead, he charged, not to name call, not to blame, but to lead. To simply say people are going to suffer and someone's to blame, that makes no sense at all. If you're a real president, you'll lead from behind like Obama. No, that's not what he said. If you're a real president, you care about people suffering and we're ready to work with the president. Yes, you care about people suffering, but you can't care about the Constitution, which is exactly what you're charged to do. Yes, I as a human being, you want to care about people suffering and you want to make it all better, like Chuckie wants to. Of course, he doesn't want to, but that's what he'll say he wants to do. He wants to make it all better for the Democrat Party, and that's it. He doesn't care about anyone, certainly not his constituent base of a bunch of ne'er-do-wells. Take repeal off the table, he reiterated. Let him and Speaker Ryan, Mitch McConnell, and say we're not repealing and we'll work with them on improving Obamacare. But in the meantime, for the president to do things to make Obamacare worse and have millions of people suffer to make sure it doesn't work when CBO says it does work, that's not being president. That's the ticket, Chuckie. Well, there's no improving Obamacare, if I may divert just slightly from this article. there isn't any improving Obamacare because this is how it was written. It was written purposely to fail. And some people, I don't know why people are losing sight of this, whether they ever had sight of it to begin with. But this was the whole master plan anyway, was to put Obamacare in place, allow the insurance company to run this thing, allow them to fail, and then swoop in on your white horse, the white knight on the white horse, and say, don't worry, Ma and Pa Kettle, we're here from the government, and we're here to help you. We'll fix everything. Just let us take the burden off your shoulders, and we'll take care of everything. We'll pay for everything. Heck, we'll even set up your doctor's appointments for you and make you go, whether you need to or not. That's what we're going to do. And then when you actually need medical care, like Obama said, we'll just give you go over there in the corner and die, and we'll give you a pain pill. That's the whole point of this program. So old Chuckie continues again. They tried to repeal it, they failed. If they keep trying to repeal it, we won't be able to do anything. So of course, we'll come to them. And it's about time for the president to act like the president. Well, we haven't seen that in a decade or so. So that would be nice. Not to make people suffer, not to make things worse by making Obamacare worse. It's a good bill now. He can try to make it better, that's fine, but this idea, people will suffer. What the heck was that? This is not what presidents are supposed to be. We're not gloating that they failed. The heck you aren't. Yeah, you are. And that's fine. Gloat away. You deserve to gloat. You know, you've earned the gloat. Actually, you didn't earn any gloat. You were handed the gloat by the incompetent boobs in the Republican Party that wanted what they wanted, regardless of what their constituents wanted. It didn't make a tinker's whatever what all of us wanted out there who voted for these jerkwads. They were going to do what they wanted to do, and they were going to fix Obamacare. That's what they were going to do. They were going to make it better so they don't get blamed when Obamacare fails. But Obamacare was meant to fail. See, it's the circle of life. So Chuck Schumer is just going to go out there and beat up on the Republicans who deserve to be beat up because they are so bloody. They're not. That's the thing is everybody's crying incompetence. It's not incompetence. This was written purposefully not to repeal Obamacare because the Republicans don't want to repeal Obamacare. First off, they're chicken blank to do it because if anything even hints at going wrong, even in the short term, that could be fixed later or just by time be fixed over time as people get used to using a new healthcare system or whatever, which, you know, it was the old healthcare system prior to 2010, and everybody was perfectly satisfied with that. I know I was. And then open it up, do all these things that Trump promised that we would do and the Republicans promised that we would do, the competition over state lines and health savings accounts and all this great stuff that we're never going to see the light of day because that's not what the Republicans wanted. So gloat away, Chuckie, gloat away. You deserve it. That's fine. You go ahead and knock yourself out because the Republicans certainly deserve the blame on this one. And Trump, I'm a firm belief, as well as a lot of some of the conservatives, the Freedom Caucus guys, and some other conservatives in the Senate, believe that Trump was in fact sold a bill of goods by Ryan on purpose, and he was backstabbed for it. So, you know, I don't know. I don't think he was in on this thing. He made a lot of promises during the campaign. Some of them he's already tried to keep already, and I think that this was one that he wanted to get wholly behind, and this was the bill, so he felt he had to get behind it. I don't know. I'm trying to give him a pass on this as much as I can. But the interesting thing about these things is, you know, you can learn a lot by reading the comments on some of these articles. If you go down to the comment section and read some of these comments, you can get a window into people's souls, the people in the hinterlands that are out there reading these articles, and they're all going ballistic over them and whatnot. So here's a comment. it will fall apart and the free market will take over. It had a self-repeal mechanism built in, and as long as it is not fixed, it is doomed. Well, he's true, and that's absolutely true. As long as it's not fixed, and it can't really be fixed, it is doomed to failure. But the free market will not take over. They won't allow it to. That's the whole point of this exercise. They will not, the Republicans nor the Democrats, will allow the free market to take over. That means when the free market takes over, that the House and Senate, the federal legislative machine, loses power. They lose their grip on control over us.
You're listening to the Common Constitutionalist. Let the truth be known.
That's the bottom line of this whole thing that people can't seem to understand or have frankly never been told or taught, that the free market will not be allowed to take over when Obamacare fails. It will fail. There's no doubt about it. No matter how much money you throw at this thing, it's going to fail because it was designed to fail. I don't know how many times I've got to say this, but it was designed to fail from word freaking go. And thinking that because it's a failure, that we're just going to pick up the pieces, we're going to be allowed to pick up the pieces on our own and go out and do for ourselves is a fantasy. Here's another comment. Chuckie, I agree with the first sentence at least. Chuckie Schumer, a complete freaking fool. Actually, he's not. He's an insane megalomaniac. And he's a bad guy. He's just a dirty, bad guy who will say and do anything to get a vote or to get on camera. That's all, and to retain and maintain power. That's it. He's not a fool. He's a bag of poo. The commenter continues. Sanity prevailed in this failed health bill. It was no different than Obamacare. Okay, he gets it. Now they should just let Obamacare implode, which is happening right now. Okay, they can do that. The difference between the two bills is that the Democrats passed their disaster and smarter Republicans defeated their disaster. Very good. That clown Schumer wants you to believe that the people now like not having your doctor, people now like not keeping your policy, and people now just love their $6,000, $8,000, and $10,000 deductibles. All the while, you pay for some deadbeats insurance. Wake up. Got it? Well, he does get it, and it will implode. But after that, I'd like to say it's anyone's guess, but we all know what's going to happen. And the last comment I pulled off of this thing, exactly. Although Obamacare, is personally painful for me financially. Haven't been able to use it one time. $12,400 deductible for my wife and I. So 2 people and almost a $13,000 deductible. You got to be kidding. I'm glad this thing failed. Dems not only own Obamacare, but own it with pride. And they do. And they will own it the day until it blows up, and then they'll blame the Republicans, and the Republicans will take the blame. Somehow they'll get blamed. The Republicans will get blamed for this by not fixing Obamacare like Chuck. That's what's going to happen. Obamacare is going to implode on itself, and then Chuck Schumer is going to come in and announce that the reason why Obamacare imploded was not the way it was written. It's because the president and the Republicans refused to work with Chuck Schumer and the Democrats on fixing Obamacare. Okay, so there was nothing wrong with Obamacare, but if you don't fix it, it'll implode. That's Democrat logic, baby. He continues, keep Ryan away from the next one. Well, fat chance of that unless they get rid of him. From the ashes, a real health care plan will emerge. Here we go. No use passing something half-blanked, only to regret it later. I suspect that Trump may very well know what he is doing. Well, he might. I don't know. I don't know, because I don't know how many people really buy into the premise that we real conservatives know what Obamacare was about from the start. I don't know that the Republican Party and Trump and the rest of them, I don't know what they think is going to happen. but or that they think that Obamacare is failing by accident or something, that it wasn't designed to fail, because it was. We all know that. I've only mentioned it in this podcast about 1,000 times already. But the problem is he gets it, or whoever this, male or female commenter, until the fact that they say that from the ashes a real health care plan will emerge. It will not. They won't allow it to emerge that way. It's the same as they don't. If the government doesn't want something done, it isn't going to get done. It's ridiculous that these people don't understand this basic concept that Obama, him and his minions are really just that evil. They designed this thing to fail. And then again, like I said for the millionth time at this point, this is what it was designed to do. They set it up to fail, so the government has to come in and rescue everybody, which is what people expect at this point. If something goes wrong in your life, the first thing they do is they look for the government to save them. All you have to you look at Katrina, you look at any natural disaster, human-made disaster, it doesn't make it the banking failure, anything. People want government to save them from themselves or save them from the system or whatever it is. And they don't understand, for whatever reason, that government is the culprit 99.9 times out of 100, that they are the ones that set up programs that fail, and then they swoop in to try to fix the programs that they set up to fail to begin with. It's ridiculous. But people don't get it because it's a control function. They've been trained from early in their youth at this point. A lot of kids from millennials from birth have been trained from birth to count on the government to save them from themselves or to save them from anything, whether it be natural disaster, man-made, phony global warming, whatever, the banking crisis, housing crisis. It doesn't make any difference what it is. The first thing they do is look to government to save me. What are you going to do for me? That's all they care about. And until we can turn that psychology around, we're doomed anyway. It won't make any difference. This is where we're headed. We are going to have a single-payer, European, British-type healthcare system because that's deep down, I think, what most people want. They just want somebody to take care of them, and they'll deal with the consequences later. This is enormously frustrating for the for us who've done a lot of research on this stuff and have seen inside the belly of the beast, for want of a better term, or at least be able to read between the lines enough to know what's inside the belly of the beast, or the Trojan horse. And that's what this is. It's a Trojan horse. And the Republicans had a golden opportunity to repeal this thing, and just a clean repeal bill. This repeal and replace crap is for the birds. Just repeal and leave it to the free market, and just let everybody live. There's 20-something million people in America that honestly couldn't afford their health insurance. So pay for them. Just pay for them. It's going to cost, $50 billion a year or something to pay for the 26 million people who without health insurance? You save yourself a fortune just by paying, just lock, stock, and barrel, pay for their whole freaking health care. Don't put them on Medicaid. Don't do this expansion crap and get government further involved. Just write them a check. And here's your health care. Here's your check. It's made out to the health care provider already. Here's your health insurance. Boom. Done. That's it. And then everyone else is clean. You can buy across state lines. You can advertise on TV. You can do whatever you want. Insurance companies, just deal with them and get the government the heck out of the way. That's the only way we're going to survive. And there is no chance in heaven or earth that that's ever going to happen in this country. That's it. So that's all I've got today. I am signing off, and I'm out of here. Have a great and blessed weekend. This is the Common Constitutionalist. Talk to you next week. See you.
Thank you for listening to the Common Constitutionalist Weekly Podcast.